it. Forest Lake.
Well, I had the argument I had. Are we hot?
All right, guys, we'll start the program shortly. We got a great panel today. One of my favorite people in the whole world's here. Not Judah, not Keith, not Nikki, but Amanda Spagoni. Love the Spagoni family, if you know that, and this show. Amanda Spagoni's in the house.
Did we just get, like, dissed or something?
Come on, I'm giving Amanda some love here. She's our guest.
I knew where this was going already. I knew when we talked about her being here. I was like, yep.
I'm a huge fan
So
of
we
Amanda
could just get up and
Spagoni.
leave? Why don't we just get up and leave?
Nikki Chambliss is in the house.
I just
I
got here,
believe Cake Fight has got a gig. Is it at Boar's Head coming up?
So that one is coming up. We also have one at Lake Anna Tap House coming up. So April 1st, I do believe, is Lake Anna Tap House. And then the next Thursday, whatever date that is the Boar's Head Thursday evening
Right.
concert
I saw that in the
series.
marketing
We
material.
have 4 in
I saw
April.
your face. I was
So-
like, Nikki Chambliss. All right.
Who
Yeah.
came up with the name Cake Fight?
So that was a name that was inherited by the previous version of the band. And it's fun, so why not?
There you go.
Yeah.
It's fun. It is fun.
And
Keith-
it made for a great photo session
There you
where
go.
I had
You threw
green in
cake.
my glasses for a while.
There you go. Keith Smith is in the house as well. We'll catch up on his Greene County listing we talked about on Friday, which 2 residents of Greene are already asking the question, what's up with the Greene listing we talked about on Friday?
It's under contract.
We literally will talk about it. Guys, it's under contract. So the listing we highlighted on Friday is under contract. I'm going to follow the lead of the panel here because I know nothing about this deal or this listing, so I will listen to learn. Judah Wickhauer is our director. Questions, bring them fast and furious. Amanda's on the program, so the show's on fire right now. I see her friends rallying to the occasion. Judah, let's rock and roll when you're ready. Good Monday morning, guys. I'm Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us. A pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love Seville Network on a show presented by Keller Williams Alliance. And I'll tell you what, KWA is all up in this studio this morning. Today's show is going to be absolutely fantastic. It's the first day of spring. Interestingly, I woke up to 22-degree temperatures in Albemarle County, but still the first day of spring. We celebrate spring on the horizon. Judah Wickhauer is our director. Let's go to the studio camera and welcome the KWA panel. Keith Smith, Real Talk with Keith Smith, Nikki Chambliss, team leader extraordinaire, and the fabulous Amanda Spagoni in the house. Friends, good Monday morning.
Monday morning, Jerry.
Hello.
It's I think it's. I'm looking at the weather because I'm going to do a bike ride this afternoon. It's going to be close to 50 by the time.
First day of spring.
First day of spring.
Hopefully no allergies yet. Do you have allergies?
Yeah.
No? Oh, you're very
Thankfully,
lucky.
I'm lucky.
Allergies?
I mean, I manage them really, really well.
Claritin every day?
Zyrtec every day,
Yeah.
Flonase every day.
There you go.
And Zyrtec really should be switched out every year or two to one of the other versions.
Right, 'cause you
your body builds up
eventually-
a resistance or something to it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm the same
Just
way.
saying. I
Nikki
learned this. It
Chambliss.
took many, many years to learn this.
It took years of miserableness.
Yes, yes.
Years of it. Keith Smith,
struggle is
allergies?
I was just thinking about the yes. I was going to make a comment about 4.5 years of miserableness sitting across from you, but I won't do that.
Oh, wow. There we go. What is
I
this?
didn't think I wanted to do that.
Shots fired on a Monday morning.
Because I'm figuring about.
Like that today.
I
I
like it.
needed to get that out before
There you
I got
go.
buried here.
There you go.
on that.
Oh, do
I
it.
actually went through a couple of years of shots,
Oh,
and it
Okay.
absolutely helped.
work?
Absolutely.
Oh my
Have
gosh.
zero allergies. It is worth the being a pincushion for a long time, but it was like once a week for like almost 4 years,
Okay.
and zero. Absolutely.
Like,
I
even when you
I was
travel and
allergic to
everything,
everything
right? Oh,
under the
man.
sun. So I would do it. I would highly
Cushion life
recommend it.
might be where it's at.
shots fired indeed. Marquise Johnson said Keith is firing shots across the bow.
Yeah.
I don't even think he knows what he did.
I know what I did.
I don't think he
I
does.
know what I
I
did.
don't think he does.
First, let's clarify this. You know I love you. So
Fine. Oh, absolutely.
I love you very
yeah.
much, so.
Oh, dude, I'm not even worried about it. Where do you want to? Literally, not even worried about it. Where do you want to begin? How's the market doing?
I tell you what. Why don't we start with asking everybody how their weekend was about real estate? So we'll start with Amanda because you team lead quite a few folks.
I do.
So
So
for myself personally, it was nice and quiet, which I needed because I have not had that for several weekends in a row. But I did answer some questions, helped a couple of agents prepare offers, but what I'm seeing is that it was very busy. But open house feedback was that most of the open houses had multiple groups. We did have one that was out in the Afton area that was slower over the weekend, but for the most part, if the location is right, then there seems to be a lot of activity.
Location, price, features, condition,
Exactly.
timing, who's on the
Yes.
other side. I wake up in the middle of the night saying this.
Yes, I think it is.
So our Greene County listing went under contract. We had multiple offers within.
Cully Baggett's asking it right now. It's under contract, Cully Baggett. Literally, the developer, Cully Baggett, asking about the Deer Lake property right now.
So I wanted to work it into your open house comment. So we had multiple offers on it, over 4, very strong offers. We just ratified, so I can't really go into too many details on it. But what was very interesting, the open house, which was a Saturday open house, not a Sunday open house, we had 12 couples come through
Yeah.
in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And the other interesting thing is 50% of them were unrepresented.
That's really interesting.
So
It
talk
is.
about that. What is that?
Unrepresented, no realtors coming
So
through?
let's let Nikki.
Like
Wow.
legit unrepresented, or like they were just saying it because everybody's like, yeah, sure, I got a realtor.
Well, I don't know. Michael Pleka was there. I think they made them write
Okay.
it down in blood.
They were unrepresented and putting offers on the house?
No, that's not what
No,
I
no,
said.
No,
Okay.
no, because there's
Walking
a difference
through.
though. 'Cause
Walking
there has
through.
been
Okay.
a time, like for me, when I was directly doing the sales side of things, like open houses were my jam.
Uh-huh.
I'm a huge fan.
The reason
Don't-
I brought it up because I think it's going
I was
back.
like, yeah, don't have a conversation with me that you think is going to start and end with open houses don't work, because it won't. It might start there, but I promise you, you're not working it.
Are you looking
That's
at my
what
notes?
happens.
Stop looking at my notes.
Oh, ooh.
Well, I
I'm
think
half
open houses,
telepathy today.
open houses are a thing that it's more for, it's not necessarily going to sell a house per se, but it's a lot for realtors.
Okay, I'm jumping.
Helps a
topics real
realtor build
quick.
their brand.
So,
But yeah.
And
no,
network.
no,
right.
no,
Yeah.
but it's not just that, because here's the thing. I had a conversation with a seller over the weekend about, I think open houses are a waste. He felt a little.
The seller said that.
He felt, and he's not the first one I've had
Because
this
he was out of
conversation with.
place.
Because he was placed out of his home.
Yeah.
But also, he's not alone. I've had this conversation. I would say about half of my sellers blatantly were like, do we even really need this? And I was like, hey, so here's the thing. If I host an open house in your home, or one of my agents does that, what's happening is it's not about necessarily finding your exact buyer. It might, and that's really cool. But your buyer is most likely going to be able to find this house regardless, if we are working in an industry where there are other professionals who run professional businesses, right? And for the most part, we have that here, right? So we're really fortunate in that. What an open house does, though, is it's another marketing campaign that is different than other marketing campaigns, and it allows your property to get in front of more eyeballs. So if, let's say, they don't pass the swiping through KW.com moneymaker image test, because the reality is some homes, it's really hard to get that money shot. And that's what if you see an image that's bad for the first shot, that listing is either struggling, about to be updated, or done poorly. That's just what it is. And if it's your listing, I'm
The hero
sorry,
shot. The hero
fix it.
shots. Yeah.
Oh, well, if you want to call it a hero shot, it's
That's
the money
what-
shot, because it's what makes the money.
It's called the hero shot. If you go to college, you know it's called the
yeah,
hero
I'm not-
shot in
I'm not gonna do that
advertising.
anymore.
Okay, I mean, that's what it's called. But I get what you're saying.
That's
If it's
cool.
not positioned correctly, then the listing should be completely redone from a branding and marketing standpoint.
But in relation to that open house situation, I'm sorry, I'm in the mic. What happens is if it doesn't make I'm scrolling through KW.com, nope. Okay, it's another point of marketing. It's another point of getting that home out in front of a group of people who, for the most part, everybody's interested in that. It's very rare that I run into somebody who's like, no, I'm not interested to know what you think about the housing market.
So I want to add to that in a little bit, because I think open houses today take on a very different picture than it did even 6 months ago. But
Oh,
Amanda, I'd love
definitely.
you to chime in, and then I'll wrap it up.
So, I mean, I think open houses, can be, or I do agree that they position a house. In my experience, though, an open house has not always been the avenue in which the buyer has bought the house.
Of course not.
No.
But that's starting to change.
and-
I want to add to that here.
But, and I think it's an opportunity for agents to meet unrepresented buyers in a lot of cases.
As is.
But I do think the interesting thing is, for me, from hearing what I heard about this weekend, is that there are a lot of buyers out there that are looking still, even with all of the bad news out there.
Sorry?
Can I add one thing?
Yeah,
real
of
quick?
course.
So, and if it's done well, it benefits everyone. It
Right.
benefits the seller, it benefits the listing agent, it benefits the buyers, it benefits the other realtors who are getting an assist with some buyer's ability to go out and look, and it's helping the realtor who's hosting it,
Right.
if it's done well.
So why it is more impactful today than ever before is because try to get a showing request right now. If it's the home is in the right location, has the right features, has the right condition, yada, 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 on that, trying to get it. So actually, over the weekend, I utilized open houses to help show my client things. So represented, unrepresented is a different story. But what's happening now is the open house is backstopping
Right.
the ability to get buyers and their agents into the home, because I literally couldn't schedule certain amount of homes over this weekend that we actually worked them into a schedule into an open house. So that's something
I actually
new.
scheduled a showing on my way here. I scheduled a showing for a house that's coming soon. It's listed as coming soon. That doesn't go live until Friday. I scheduled it for Friday afternoon.
Absolutely.
But because I knew that if I waited until it actually goes active, or or I waited until later in the week, that there was a possibility that I wouldn't be able to get into it on Friday, which is the first day it's active.
So back to the Greene County house, we had multiple offers, over 4, all very strong, super strong offers, everything from waiving home inspections to not, to acceleration clauses, to appraisal gap clauses. It was just all over the map within 24 hours of hitting the send
Right.
button. So on Friday, I think there was some concern of the location and the price
Oh, there was
point.
no concern on Friday.
Oh, okay, got
Yeah,
it.
there was literally no concern on Friday. In fact, Cully is saying, I expect that one under contract right away. And he said, and we're telling him, yes, it did.
Within
And he
24
lives within spitting distance
Yeah.
of this house right here.
Plus, you can get some great coffee.
Oh, Murphy's.
Yep.
So I want to throw this out to you two guys, right? Because I was in a debate on the way in with an agent that is, he asked me to keep his name out of it, but he's a top producing agent. And he says, sometimes we talk about, is it a buyer or a seller's market, right? What is it, guys? Is it a buyer's market or a seller's market right now?
I mean, it's been a seller's market this whole time that I've
Is
been
it
on the
really?
show.
Is it really?
Yes.
I think it's still a seller's market. And I think there's opportunities to be had for buyers.
Oh, always.
Wow. Hold on. What was that? I think it's a seller's market, but there's opportunity to be had
Well,
for
I'm going to
buyers.
expand on that because you're right.
Because I think one of the things that there's still a severe lack of inventory. Let's face it, if it's well located in good condition, all of the things that we talk about on a regular basis, if it has all of those things, it will sell.
It's now a seller's market for that individual
for
property.
that individual house.
That's exactly
If
right.
it is not in as top pristine condition and it isn't as a desirable a location, or it doesn't have features that people are looking for and maybe needs renovation, that type of thing, then it is going to be an opportunity for a buyer to go through the process and potentially get some things, because it's going to probably sit on the market longer, because they're going to rule it out because of the need for.
I'll leave the neighborhood out. Was literally 2 homes side by side. Literally 2 homes side by side, in the right location, right price, had the right features. One, the condition was spot on, absolutely perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was not. Nothing has been done to it for decades. They
Right.
should call Interstart Service Company, is what I suggested to them, actually, to go in there.
Actually met with them the other 3 days ago.
They need to come in and do that. The one that was in good condition, that has been renovated, that has
Yeah.
been updated, had 30 offers on it, literally 30 offers on it. The one next door, I have the agent begging me to make an offer on it, literally saying, this price is negotiable. I said, really? Then why don't you just price it right to start with? But I won't get on that horse.
I mean,
this
and I
point.
think that that's.
But they're
that's-
side by side. So one house is a seller's market, the house next to it is a buyer's market.
Exactly, and that's what I think you're seeing, it is, buyers are looking for a home where they're not gonna potentially have to do a whole lot.
6 months
to
ago,
it.
that was not the case. 12
That
months ago, that
exact-
was not the case.
Exactly, but I think with the higher interest rates, because there's not as big of a, because your money doesn't go as far with the higher interest rates, that those renovations that maybe they were willing to take on at a lesser interest rate now seem overwhelming, that they don't have that cash.
Well, either they don't have it or they don't want to dump the cash.
Don't want to dump the cash, right.
there.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this out loud. It's still a seller's market regardless. That house is just poorly priced and marketed and everything, just everything.
Well, it's a seller's market, to Amanda's point, and I agree with her 100%. It's a seller's market if you hit all these items.
Well, the
If
market
you
is the
don't,
market.
then it's.
Or even our hyper-local markets, it's still a seller's market. It's not a
think if you.
house-by-house situation when we're talking about a market, though. So I'm just gonna I'm cool if we want to move on, but
No, I mean, I agree. I do think overall it is a seller's market. I do
Statistically-
think that statistically and everything points to that it's a seller's market because there is such a lack of inventory. And-
This is what your supervising broker has to say, by the way. The benevolent dictator himself watching this fine and fair talk show. I think we're in an economy where the traditional standards of buyer's market or seller's
That's
market
it.
do not apply.
That's
I-
the point. I'm
We are
trying to
now in a
Yes.
space where agents have to have an individualized conversation with each seller and buyer and determine if this is their market for what they need and where their family is at.
that's always the case.
So-
Yes.
Always.
Quentin, our chemistry is remotely working. That's literally the point I'm trying to make.
Yes.
Nice.
So it's a bit dangerous.
there we
It really takes down to individual properties, individual buyers, hiring the right team to
Always.
come on
Of course,
yes.
and help you through it, because these conversations have to happen at the kitchen table.
And I will say, I'm saying always, and really, I think all of us should feel that way now. Most of us have for years. And I say always, taking advantage of the fact that it has been that way since I have been in this industry. And this industry has not always operated that way. So when I'm saying, oh yeah, of course, that's how it is, but it has not always been that way in our industry. But
So-
thankfully, in my time and my experience, it has been. And I'm really glad to be part of an industry that has changed in that way.
So I think from a seller's perspective, and that's where I think the slope is a little slippery here on this is a seller or buyer's market, is because a seller might think, well, I'm just going to put it on the market in any condition it is. And you have to bring
And that's
a trusted
adorable.
advisor and somebody who can explain to them, well, that's not the case. And that was the point I was trying to make, is if the home is in not good condition, the buyers, there may be a buyer out there for it, but they're going to move on to at least the buyers I'm talking to, they're going to
Yeah.
move on to something that's already been done
And I
and
think-
willing to pay more money for it.
And I think setting expectations is a huge part of what we do. And I think when you're working with a seller and you're looking for comparable properties when you're doing the pricing and you're doing a CMA, it's really important and imperative to make sure that that those comparables make sense in timing and that type of thing too. And so looking at what the terms were, when did it sell? What were the terms?
Sure.
Those types of things are really going to play into what was the condition of the home, are going to really play into how does that relate to to that seller's home. Because if it was in even in September, August of last year, that is a completely different market than what we're dealing with right now. And if it was the interest rates were different a year ago. I think I read that a year ago today they were 4.61, and now they're
2 points plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so those homes might, and there was a real push with cash offers and things escalating and that type of thing. And not that that's not happening now, because it is happening now. But
Not on every-
but
not on every
60,
property.
90 days ago, it wasn't necessarily happening. It was a lot slower at the end of the year, first part of 2023. So really being conscious and setting those expectations of the seller. Well, we're looking at this house. This house is exactly like yours, and it sold in January for this, so we can bump it up for this port, and like really be.
But when it sold, it had all new roof put on it,
Right.
new HVAC
Right.
system,
Right.
updated kitchen.
Exactly.
And yours doesn't.
And yours doesn't.
Therefore,
right.
it should be at this price instead of that price.
Exactly. And I think paying attention, so setting those expectations, and then on the same hand, doing that with the buyer as well, is that saying, okay, this home sold for this amount of money, and was in this condition, and had X amount of offers, or didn't, only had one offer, and now you're dealing with, you're competing. So what's your strategy to produce the winning offer?
So that whole thing turns into hire a trusted advisor.
Exactly.
Right? Hire
For
somebody
sure.
Yes.
For sure.
that knows how to
Yes.
navigate the current market.
Right.
And it's street by street.
And it's street by street.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. Well, and I loved how you were talking about, and you had this conversation with your buyer, because I think that as a general rule, that's what we as realtors do. And sometimes when I'm speaking to consumers, to people who have bought houses, I'm not so sure. And maybe it's just that they've forgotten because it's been a hot minute, which is totally understandable. But the same conversations that I have with a listing appointment are the same ones I'm going to have, very, very similar, with my buyers as we go around and look at houses. And I know the market well because I'm out there doing it, and I know what's out there. And a lot of times off the top of my head, I can give a pretty good valuation of the situation, or do a good 30 to 2 hours of digging and have an incredibly knowledgeable conversation around a large area, considering a neighborhood or whatever, and be able to educate them really well on, hey, this is what you need to expect, and this is why.
For sure.
And it's not that they're uneducated, but they don't do this every day, right? They know even real estate. They know investing. They actually could probably teach me some investing for the parts of it that I am not as knowledgeable in. But real estate, it's what we do every day.
Well, I think it's also easy to get caught up in like the headlines and and seeing, I mean, I think the bank collapse, all of that,
Does that scare you?
Not really.
No? Does that
I
impact
mean-
real estate?
I mean, I think yes, yes, and I think it affects people's
Consumer confidence?
confidence, right? Like that, maybe we should rethink, and I particularly see it with people that aren't from here as well, and not that we don't live in a bubble in Charlottesville, in Albemarle, and the surrounding areas, and I've been doing this long enough and been around it long enough to know that what's happening on a national level isn't always necessarily happening here. And I think we're still seeing housing prices increase. We're still seeing the lack of affordable housing. We're still seeing all of the things that have been around for a really long time. It's not there's nothing new, I don't think, really, that's happening here. But I do think it's easy to get caught up in the headlines and being like, oh, well, maybe I should wait to sell, or maybe I should wait to buy because, the home prices are bound to go down. And
So
we're not-
I'm glad you brought that out. On Wednesday, we're going to do a how to win in the real estate market roundtable. We're actually going to change folks in and out of the seat you're sitting at, and I've actually have folks
10:15 to 11:30.
10:15 to 11:30.
On
Thank
Wednesday,
you,
yeah.
sir. But I'm getting questions already emailed to me because we talked about this for the last couple of days, or texting, and it's one of the questions that is asked is this a good time to buy? Is this a good time to sell? I know it's a big question, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
But can we jump in and see from your guys' perspective, is this a good time to buy and a good time to sell? I mean, I think I know the answer,
I mean,
but
you
let's
guys
see.
are realtors.
I'm always going to say
This
it
is like
depends.
Maybe that's a
how
rhetorical-
This is
that-
like asking a chef, is it a good time to eat dinner? That's
Well-
what you're asking them.
Not at
basically.
2 o'clock in the morning, but it depends on
Yeah,
that.
You're asking realtors, is this a good time to buy or sell a house?
Well-
I think I agree with Nikki. I heard her say
Yes.
it depends. It depends on what your personal situation is. If you can afford, it's always a good time to buy. They have there's all those like little sayings, like that, 100%, and renting is like 100% interest, those types of things. I mean, I think that if you can get your foot into the door to home ownership and you can afford it, and the monthly payment is something that you can afford, and you're still able to, when the HVAC goes, or you have a plumbing problem, or you need an electrician or whatever, and you can still afford to pay for those types of repairs, then I think, yes, it is a great time to buy, even with the interest rates the way that they are, because, I don't know what the predictions are recently, but I mean, I know that they're saying at some point the interest rates will come down. They're not going to get back down to the threes.
Scott Morris watching the program now. Ross Mortgage thinks by the end of the year, upper fours.
That's
Fixed.
awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
As
Yeah.
we get deeper into the recession, you'll start seeing interest rates.
Right, so I think that, yes, the interest rates will come down, and so there's always the possibility to refinance, making sure you can afford to refinance, because refinancing does cost money.
Yeah. We got to make sure we emphasize that. for
Right,
your listeners. Thank you.
refinancing does cost. But I also think, so buying, yes, I would agree. Selling, it depends. It depends on the condition of your home. Is your home going to be comparable to the other things that are selling around it? Like, have you done the maintenance, or is there a lot of deferred maintenance? Are there things that need to be done? Is it in a great location? What can you do to make your home sell more quickly? And some things you can change, and some things you can't. I mean,
You're getting props from Donna Patton. She's getting props from Woody Fincham. Top tier talent, that Amanda Spagoni, Woody Fincham says, and a fellow Pat Jensen leadership graduate.
I did. I graduated from the Pat Jensen
Love Pat
Leadership.
Yes.
Rest in power, Pat Jensen.
Yes.
Chris, if you're watching, let us know. We love you too, Chris. Lot of stuff, a lot of comments, a lot of questions coming in here. A lot of folks on the feed right now are not buying the buyer-seller answer that was given, including friend of the program, Grayson, who owns a pretty special property in North Downtown. He says it's either a buyer's market or a seller's market. It's difficult to say that it's both. Please relay that to the panel.
Well, I appreciate that position, but from the reality on the street, one house versus next, I'm just giving a snapshot of what happened on Sunday. One was multiple offers on, the other, the agent was begging me to make an offer. What that means is a different story, but to me, it was both on one street. So, Lake Monticello, I kind of dig into this all the time. We've got 9 houses on the market. We drop out new construction. 33 are pending. So that's 24 different, that's a 73% difference between that and Lake Monticello. But to talk about the seller's market and the buyer's market, there are 2 homes that are over 200 days old. So that means, if that is in a buyer's market position, a buyer can strongly go in there and try to make an offer. All the rest are in single digits, low single digits, which would be a seller's market on that.
How about this question? For the panel, what is an active or legitimate comp in today's market with homes appreciating at such an aggressive clip? From Spencer, who works in finance. Friend of the program, went to UVA with him. What's a timely comp, he's asking? I mean, is a comp from January still legitimate right now in March, when we know home prices in 2023 around the city of Charlottesville have appreciated 6 to 9% in 90 days? Is that a legitimate comp?
Well, I think it takes somebody who is knowledgeable in the market to look at, okay, how does it compare to the subject property, right? If there are a lot of differences, so it really depends on the location and what data you can get. But I do think, we adjust comparables to reflect what that type of, if there has been a big 6% increase in value, then we're adjusting for that. I mean, I think that a good comp is going to be something that, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, is probably nothing more than 90 days old.
I even think that's too far out.
And I'm starting at 30 to 60 days. And then if I have to go to 90 days, that's when I go to 90 days. But anything older than 90 days, particularly right now here in March, 90 days takes you back to,
December.
December,
Yeah.
and December doesn't do. It was slow
It was
in
slow.
December. It was slow in December. So that home doesn't really compare to, particularly the amount of buyers that are in the market.
So
now.
I wrote that question down because when Woody Fincham comes here on Wednesday, that's a perfect question for Woody.
Well, but that's a great for the appraisal, but the way realtors handle it is going to be different.
Well, he did a CMA on my condo, Nikki,
Yeah.
the Villas of Southern Ridge.
Yeah.
That's a rental,
And I
and his
called it.
CMA suggested 226
Nice. Yes.
for a list price on that condo.
Yes.
There's units now on the market since his CMA at
Awesome.
235.
Okay, yeah.
So that's a 9K
Yeah, that's
delta
good.
since he did the CMA for me
And-
10
and
days
I'm-
ago.
Because he
and
knows
I'm-
what he's doing.
10 days ago, I
No,
mean, a
no,
9K
I was-
delta.
I'm
I
just-
thought he was light.
In 10 days, it's gone up.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
$9,000
You're
since he
saying.
gave me the
Well,
CMA.
And an appraisal's not going to show that, but so much.
Literally
No,
the unit next
but-
to my building. Her
but-
sister's old unit. $9,000 difference since he did the CMA.
And on Wednesday, we're going to ask Woody about this because there are ways that we can employ the appraisers to help us in this process. Now, there is, and I don't want to give it away, what Woody needs to talk
Yeah.
about
He's
this
watching.
on Wednesday. But you can, if we're going to put a house on the market, we can engage somebody like Woody Fincham to go ahead and help us evaluate it because he has an up-to-the-minute pulse. But I'm actually getting phone calls from appraisers, out of the area appraisers, unfortunately, that are asking me, well, how come this list price was so low, right? They're asking me to help them get between the list price and the contract price. Why did it go up 6 figures? Why did it go up 50 grand
Yeah.
up on it? Is the market moving that fast? And I think it is. I think the market's tempo right now, as we sit here, is pretty damn up tempo
Yeah.
on it. So 10 days, and
Yeah.
that was an honest, straight up looking at it
Got it.
appraisal, and now it hasn't
Basically, your $10,000.
it hasn't sold yet, right?
It's going to go under contract. It just
Yeah.
got listed.
Yeah,
Nice.
It got listed on, was it Friday it was listed?
Yeah.
but it hasn't
Okay.
sold yet, so we can't use it as a comp.
So we're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
a 4% delta in 10 days.
Yeah,
From the CMA till now.
Yeah.
I would
yeah,
say,
and my assumption it sells for that price, but then again, it could not.
Right.
Right. So then again, it could not, and there could be seller concessions which actually drops it down a little bit. They don't.
Well,
we don't know because it's not on the contract.
And here's a
that's
part of the
not-
conversation too. One of the things a lot of times as listings, actually, no, this isn't whether it's crazy like it's been for the last 2 years or whether it's from 4 years ago. Pricing it where you think it will sell is not necessarily the way to actually get that price, right? Because if you do, then people sometimes will walk away from it, right? And I'm not saying specifically about your property because that has worked out incredibly
But the
well.
question
That's
that I would,
perfect.
and this would be a question for Woody, the question I'm being asked from outside real estate agents is, how come it was listed at $1 and it's now under contract for $1.50? How did that listing agent get that far off? And why is the delta there? That's
a
literally
follow-up
the
always
question.
question
a
to that
reason,
would be, is that a strategy to solicit multiple offers and escalate the price above ask?
I think there's a
Because
And I
whether we
actually
would-
I don't think that's it.
Okay, whether
I
we
really
would
don't
look
think
at
it.
that or not, some agents in car do that strategy.
Well, it's not
Okay.
even a strategy because I had an instance with the seller, and this was before craziness. This was way pre-COVID, and I told her, I was like, "Hey, I hear what you're saying. It was a possibility. It was in an area where there was a high possibility still for multiple offers." And I said, "Hey, if you price it above this point, you're going to narrow down the group of people that are going to be interested in seeing it. Here's why. Here's the range that I recommend. Where would you like me to price it?" And when we went with my advice, she had some good solid offers that she turned down because she still had in her head a certain thing, and she ended up taking less than she had she taken good trusted advisor message given, right? So there's those kind of things. I'm not saying there should be a gross gap. And
Is
honestly,
it unethical to come out of the gates with the list price substantially below market for the sole purpose of soliciting multiple offers?
substantially.
Studio camera, Judah.
No, I mean, I think
I think
and sometimes the issue can be too, that if nothing has sold in the last 90 days in that community, so you're looking at 6 months ago, then it could be that there is no comparable property to compare it to, right? So then it becomes educated guess, right? And sometimes our educated guesses are less than what the market changes to, because the market changes. You just gave a great example in 10 days.
10 days.
10 days.
Yeah.
The market changes every day. So now, not drastically, but it does change. So if a house is in a neighborhood where nothing else has sold for the last 60, 90 days, and you have a seller who wants to sell a house in that neighborhood, coming up with a price can be difficult, right? Because it's not like it's who's to say that, you know, this house in this neighborhood at this price is not going to get multiple offers. So I mean, I think it's timing, it's location, it's all of those things, and it's hard to.
Well, there are ways to handle that for sure, and strategies around that. But I want to come back to the whole gross underpricing concept. That to me just sounds really dumb. Let's just start with that. And also, what kind of service are you offering the seller?
You're saying what's dumb is coming in with a list price from day one that is well below market for the sole purpose of soliciting a multiple offer scenario and driving the closing price well above the list price.
That's
So
short.
in my mind, you do want to. So in my mind,
that strategy's dumb.
what is in my brain is okay, some gross underpricing. I hear the strategy part, but how strategic are you really being if you're willing to take too big of a risk with money that's not yours, right? Not your money, not your house. If you want to do that with your house that you're selling as a realtor, which also you need to make sure is very clearly stated.
Nikki, ultimately the seller makes the decision
They
what to lease
do,
because they're the one
but
that
if you're
signs the
pushing them in a
listing
direction-
agreement.
We all know that is done, right? I mean, I'm not going to say who is doing this, but I can rattle off 10 agents right now off the top of my head who use that strategy.
So the problem with that's very short-term thinking, right? And it's very dangerous thinking because the way the market is moving that fast, right? You could be proverbially caught with your pants down on it. I don't think that's, the market is pretty strong, but what happens if all of a sudden it hits the brakes, right? And then I roll in with an offer, full cash offer for that list price, zero contingencies, close in 2 weeks. Pretty hard to say no to that contract, right?
Right.
On that end of it. So it's a very slippery slope.
Kelly Baggett, the developer, says that's the kind of deals he likes to make.
So
That's how he likes the list right there.
So he may have to do that on that end of it. I happen to think it's short-term thinking, and if you're in it for a long time, eventually it's going to catch you on the tail end of it. But again, what works well for that agent and the buyer, the seller is on board with it. Ultimately, the seller is the one that makes this decision to move forward. I can assure you, and I can say this about our little brokerage. That won't happen in our little brokerage. We will honestly price the home to what the market is at that particular moment. May lose a few potential sellers out of it, but we're not gonna play that game in our
What
Yeah.
do you think, Amy Chambers?
So I just wanted to come back to the hard to comp concept because there's a lot of data that you can take a look at that will help you make a really good decision around how to price a property, even when you can't find a single good comp. And that happens, I think, more often than people in our area realize because they're so used to having comps. First of all, the shortage in inventory makes that harder because there are less options to comp. But let's say you get I don't know, for example, a beautiful home in Orange that just doesn't have anything even within the entire county.
So
that's sold in the
raise a
last
hand.
6
Raise a
months.
hands here.
Yeah.
How many times have you got phone calls from brokers, from appraisers saying, "I don't have any comps. Help me with this."
So
I get it all the time.
Okay, so I don't get those now, and I didn't get those before, but what I did get was, hey, you know this area, you know these houses, this seems different to me. I only have access to some information. This information's all been deleted. Can you help me understand this property?
Got it.
And a lot of times I can say, absolutely, I've walked that property. Here's why this sold at this price. Here's the condition of this house, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Can I help you with anything else?
So as I'm sitting here, just to tell you how crazy things are, I track live the 7-day running thing.
Right.
Since we've started this show, 5 houses just went into pending.
Yeah.
And
Literally
that's after this weekend?
in the last hour.
We're just going to keep watching that tick up after
Right.
this weekend that we've seen, you guys.
Yes.
Yeah. In the next 24 hours, let's
Yeah.
just keep watching it.
Todd Rath watching the program, the owner of Blue Toad Hard
Hey.
Cider. Todd Rath, also a pretty significant real estate investor. In a fast-moving market, the best strategy I have found is to set a date out in the future, taking offers until this date.
Yeah.
That's how he caveats the real estate he trades. He does a little window. We'll take offers until this date.
And I can tell you of the 30 hours of looking at houses and making offers over the weekend, everything that was in the right location, price, features, condition, we will be accepting offers at 5 o'clock on Monday.
Right.
Monday.
Yeah.
Donna Patton watching the
It's a
program.
really solid strategy.
By the way, just to interrupt you, by the way,
Yeah.
one of the things that I'm also now seeing in the thing, but the seller reserves the right
To accept an
to
offer
accept it
previous.
at any time.
At any time.
That is something new that's starting
That
to slide
yes.
into that. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, and if that caveat is sliding into language, that tells you it's a seller's market. Because
Yeah,
that sentence right there shows I have all the leverage and I know it. That's
Look,
what that sentence means.
Look, don't misinterpret me.
Okay.
This is a seller's market. But
That's what that sentence means, though.
But if the home is not in a good condition right now, the condition is mattering more than ever.
Yes.
12 months ago, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Now it matters, and if you tap, and literally it happened to me yesterday, 2 homes side by side, and I cannot explain it any clearer than that. One had, the guy was literally begging me, make an offer, right? The other one was like, yeah, stop bothering me, I got too many offers. So.
She said, Donna, a little bit of disagreement there with you, Keith. She says, not always, Keith. Houses on the market for a long time are probably sellers who are motivated to get it sold. She also says people who want to buy and are currently renting need to get with a trusted lender, Ross Mortgage, she puts in parentheses, to help get their finances in order to buy. Scott Morris, Ross
That's
Mortgage,
100%
runs the
right.
program right there.
Well, it would not be any day without Donna disagreeing with me. So I've met my one commitment for the day. Thank you, Donna, for disagreeing with me.
Nikki Chambliss, I know you got something to say. I see the wheels moving over
Oh,
there.
I always have something to say. I can do
That's
this
why I like
all
you.
day, every day. What are you talking about? Where do we want to go right now?
We're talking market conditions, guys. Put the comments in the feed. Ken Wooten, is that your dad?
That is my dad.
He's
Hi,
giving
Dad.
you some props. Todd
He's biased.
says,
It's
if
okay.
the market is truly a seller's market and that a property is in top condition, why not try a live auction strategy? Wow. A live auction strategy. If a property's in top
Man, I don't
condition.
even know if we can do that. Yeah, that's. Let's pivot that a little bit.
Yeah.
Go to Blue Toad and get some cider. Right?
I'm
That's
here
the
for
right.
this
that's the
conversation
right-
pivot. I'm like, yes, absolutely. When
So-
are we doing the show from there? Live
That would be
location
great.
show?
Yeah.
I'm in.
With Kate
I want
Flake
on that
playing. With Kate Flake playing.
Can I talk and sing? Like, can
I
I,
bet
can
you
I go
could
back
do
and
that.
forth?
Can
Well,
you do
okay,
that?
actually, yes.
Yeah,
I
I know,
can. The answer
we
is
know
yes.
you can.
We know that I can.
Lori Walker Collins giving Amanda some props right now. If you guys have some questions, put them in the feed here. This
Case
question-
study would be great if you could.
If you have a case study, put it in the feed as well. This has come from the feed. Thomas says, can you get the panel's take if the outer county and properties within driving distance of Charlottesville and Albemarle are softening at all, or if they expect the same momentum that they're seeing close to Charlottesville and Albemarle County as we're seeing right now? That's a good question. Who wants to start with that one?
So I'm gonna go with that whole I can still talk thing. I do feel like a solid home, right? It's a home in good condition that is well priced, is actually doing better than a couple months ago I thought it would right now, truly. And I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that indicated by offers coming in. I'm seeing this indicated by the listing agents getting a plethora of really great, intelligent questions around the properties. I'm seeing this by busy open houses that are happening in those surrounding counties. And that doesn't necessarily apply to every single property. And yet, as a general rule, I'm pleasantly surprised because I'm happy about this part, right? I like having a nice spring market. I think it's a good pick-me-up for everyone, buyers, sellers, realtors. It just feels right and like spring. So I am seeing that is at a nice pace. That is having its nice spring busy situation.
I think it depends. I hate using that answer and being evasive on it, but I think it depends.
Go to Blue Toad and drink some cider. There we go.
You go to Lake Monticello is still hot.
Yeah.
So Fluvanna County is still moving pretty fast.
Yeah.
I think Nelson County I think there's not a whole lot on the market. So if you're priced well and it's a nice house, then it will probably sell. But whether it's softening or not, the thing that I would say is I'm not seeing Lake Monticello and Palmyra. I've seen a lot of activity. Green, I've seen a lot of activity. Nelson, I would say, is a little slower, but it's just there's not a lot of activity there to be had, regardless of homes for sale in general.
So to add to your point, the last 7 days there was 1, 2, 3, only 4. I take that back. Hang on a second. 5, 10 homes. Excuse me, 12. Oh boy, it goes a little further down. I have to. You keep on talking. I made a mistake. I made a
Market
huge.
is literally changing.
I
During this talk.
literally, as I was talking to you, 4 more showed up. So to your point,
So crazy.
contracts that were written, because we have like 48 hours, if I remember
Right.
correctly, to load them in once they go on the
do.
contract. So literally, as I'm doing this, they're but 1, 2, 3, 4,
But
5, 6.
also, it saves you time and energy if you get in there really quick so people aren't blowing up your phone.
There you go.
Pro tip.
For sure.
Right there.
For sure. For
While
sure.
we're at it, hire a director of operations.
Oh, Nikki, I like it. I like it. Scott Morris giving you some props. Guys, this from Cully. I think that the reason condition is so important right now is because potential buyers know that with the enormous interest rates of today's market, they will be wanting to refinance in the next 5 years as interest rates hopefully come back down to earth, in which at that time the condition will potentially give them more skin in the game. The market will probably have cooled by then, as well as people's willingness to look past cosmetics, and potential needs for the home will be significantly less. This is more of a question than a statement. Sky
So-
is a builder of real estate in Central Virginia who's leaving this comment. Right.
So, of the 6 buyers I worked with this weekend, the overall comment was, I want to move into a house that somebody else spent the money to fix up. I do not want to spend the money to take the risk. By the way, I can't find a renovator, right? I can't get materials. Let somebody go ahead and do that. And I'm willing to spend more money for it to go cash to buy it, to go ahead and do that.
I mean, I think that is something I know I've talked with buyers about that as well, is that is just one of the things, if it's not move in and there's something that they don't like with the condition of the home, and it can be as simple as paint color, easy fixes, finding contract, if they are unable to do it themselves or unwilling, finding contractors
Impossible.
is really hard. So that means that they are going to have to live with that atrocious paint color for 6 to 12 months, if not more, before that can be addressed.
So at this moment, the one that just popped in, Nelson County had 4 pendings in the last 70 days. Charlottesville and Albemarle are the winners,
Right.
big time,
Right.
on it. But 4 of them, and one just popped up as we were talking earlier. I just wanted to make
Well,
sure.
I'll be bringing one on in Nelson.
There we
in
go.
Acton.
Is it in
Oh,
coming
just-
soon stage?
No, it is not. So
Okay.
I can't talk too much
Do
about
I
it.
want to
but-
get your take on the 2-week coming soon period, and if
No.
it's too long or not, or do we need to go down that road?
So the Mets, do you think they're going to do good this
I'm
year?
sure you have a take on that,
Yeah.
right? 2 weeks seems like, for the layman, an astronomically long time for a coming soon period.
But let's ask the question a different way. Are you guys seeing coming soon being used now, or just not being used anymore?
Oh, I'm seeing it
It's
being
used.
used. It is so being used.
Now, it's not necessarily being used correctly, and that's a challenge, and
How-
that's a
what does
point of
that mean?
education.
What does that mean?
When it's coming soon, between the coming soon and active date, because of our clear cooperation that all agents have access to knowing and hopefully understand, there are no showings in that time. That is a no showing time.
But coming soon, correct me if I'm wrong, you can do a digital showing.
No.
You can
No.
you cannot walk through the house doing a Facebook Live on a coming soon?
Absolutely not.
Is that 100% sure? 'Cause
Yes.
That's being,
Well, if that's being done, it's
And like
a
I said,
violation.
it's not
That's a-
being followed well.
Okay.
And truly,
because I'm
while-
seeing that.
And I think a lot of it is not understanding what the rules are and
What
doing
happens
it out
if
of
you get
ignorance.
caught doing that? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, you know what? That's a great question.
So what is the punishment of walking through a house with a Facebook Live showing a
So
property?
we're going to let Carr address that.
Yeah,
we're gonna
let's do
stay,
that,
We're going to
because
stay
you know
away
what?
from that.
Because I don't know
on
right
this,
off the
'cause
top of my head.
It's a very slippery, I can't even say it.
Slippery slope.
Thank
But
you.
that is an
Okay.
Thank you on that.
association.
Okay.
But to go
Yes.
back to the coming soon question, of the 77,
You get a fine, Donna Patton says.
Yeah.
And she knows.
Is the
It-
fine $50?
it,
Is the
No.
fine $25,
Let-
$50? Is it a nominal fine?
let's wrap a bow around this.
Okay.
It's not substantial. Let's
Okay,
leave
right.
it at that. 17 of the 77 that came active in the last 7 days are in the coming soon status. No, that
And I want to add something. So, and it's
Please.
not about the fine, it's about your reputation.
Well, the thing
Right.
is, if you do it over a certain amount of time, you can lose your
Big-
access to the MLS.
Yes. And you kind of need access to
So how would
MLS.
you like to see coming soon better used?
So guys, time out.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a whole DOJ lawsuit going on along it. This is a very slippery slope that we need to stay away from
I agree.
on this conversation. But at the moment, the rules are abundantly clear. They're written in the car MLS, and if you're a real estate agent, you need to read them and follow them, and we're going to leave it at that because there's way too many lawsuits going on, and we surely are not going to start talking about that right now.
No, and that I don't think that's where we were trying to take the conversation at all. So I think that's good.
Yeah, where do
Yeah.
you want to take it?
I don't know. I'm not
Go
sure
ahead.
that
Go
I
ahead.
can.
I'll stop you if
Well,
it-
I think
if it's a slippery
Amanda
slope.
had a really, really great example earlier in the conversation where there's a property that's coming soon, and she's made an appointment for Friday afternoon when it's active. That's exactly what it's
So that's
about.
allowed.
Yes.
And,
That's
right.
allowed.
And that's
It
the
doesn't,
best use.
nobody can see it until Friday.
The short-
That is the
The short
first
answer,
day.
Jerry, no real estate agent's supposed to be in that house other than the listing agent prior to active. Flat, period, end of
Yes.
story.
Yes.
How that's enforced and what's get done, that's above our pay grade at this particular table.
Yes. that.
Vanessa Parkhill watching the program in Earlysville here. This comment has come in the feed. I'm seeing many properties that are for sale in a coming soon period with photos.
Yeah, so that's allowed. So that's allowed. So it goes out, it goes
So
out.
it can be marketed.
Yeah.
It can be marketed, but
Just
it
can't get in
cannot, you cannot, it
Tour it.
cannot be shown.
Yeah.
You cannot tour it in coming soon status.
Is a Facebook Live a showing?
So in order for that to happen, an agent would have to get into the home, which would
Right.
be violating the,
It-
Okay, follow-up question. Could the listing agent do a Facebook Live during coming soon and then share that Facebook Live with other agents?
I don't know the
It's not
answer.
any different than a virtual tour being
Yeah, I
posted.
would say that
right?
So
would
it can do that?
Yeah.
Right?
can do
So that does not count as a showing?
I don't know the answer.
So if you're looking, I just pulled up one just for the heck of it on that. So in the listing, so if you're saying,
Bill McChesney says 660 Concord went coming soon, and then it went under contract within hours of the coming soon period. So we have viewers and listeners
Yeah.
literally showing us listings that are in
Well,
coming soon here. On
And
the feed.
I think so I think we need to shift away from this conversation
Yeah.
and just that, because, there's violations and where it's
the
above our
four
pay
of us
grade.
at this table are not the convening authority to
Right.
enforce
We are
that.
not.
Exactly.
These are people outside of
Exactly.
our table that go ahead and do that.
Right.
Now, it could be on that one listing and went coming soon, and 2 seconds later, it got hit as active. We don't know that for sure. But the reality of it is, incoming soon, you can put a virtual tour. Let's call a FaceTime video the same as as a Facebook tour. You just cannot get a real estate agent into that house until it goes active, and that is as clear as a bell. And how it's enforced is outside of our purview at this table.
No, but I will say, like, just this conversation happening, even though we're like, hey, it's time
Yeah,
to rein it in,
sure.
and it is.
Means there's a problem.
But the fact that we're able to do this and have these conversations, I mean, you have these multiple times a week, right? I'm privileged to be part of it twice a month.
So
Yeah,
I'm-
we like having you.
Thank you, I
So
love
I'm
it.
looking at 312.
No, she's making a
But-
good point, though.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
but the
My
education
hearing
that
aids.
we're offering to the community as a whole, this
There you go.
isn't just for our brokerage. This isn't just for our sponsors or just for the consumer or just for the realtor or the broker. It's for everybody, and it's beneficial to everyone. And you guys' engagement, which you are amazing about, is key to that. So thank you. But it just really shows, like, I don't just show up here to hear myself talk. I can do that from anywhere, and I do all day long, right? So
It's the voices in the head. I
Hey,
got it, too.
all of me.
As
I'm
the
just
office
saying,
next to
all
hers.
however many are
That's
going on
true.
up there. I do. I can't not talk to myself. If you've never worked with me or met me, I'm sorry. I will be annoying. It's not on purpose. It just is what it is.
So just to talk about this, 312 Jefferson Drive, Palmyra, Virginia. It's incoming soon. Under agent remarks, showing start Friday, March 21st 24th. So that's when the showings are gonna start. Text listing agent before that date to set up appointments. So that's what we can do.
Right.
And in it, there are virtual tours, so forth and so on, that you can take a look at the home. There you go.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. We'll move on from this topic. Questions, put them in the feed. We will relay them live on air to the viewers and listeners. Donna sends the MLS clear cooperation policy
Of course you did.
in the feed.
Thank you, Donna. You're the
Patton.
best.
And she wants to emphasize she is the supervising broker. Keller Williams.
She
Donna,
is.
we love
She
you,
is.
Donna Patton. I can't
She
wait to
keeps
have
us
you
all
back
in
on the
line.
show. I see that. She's doing that in the comment section right now. Pamela Bear Bartlett.
Well, that's
Oh,
giving you some
hey,
props.
Pam.
So that's important, and thank you, Donna. So those who have questions about it should click on that and read the rules. They're pretty
Right.
abundantly clear on it. The enforcement in it is way beyond our ability at this table.
This is from Kelsey. To Jerry's point, should the period be shortened? Does anyone want to touch on that, or do you want to go to the next one?
Yeah, it's the
It's
problem.
not up to their. They don't make that call, guys. But you guys could offer an opinion if it should be shortened or not. It seems
Yeah.
pretty long.
Yeah, so
Well, in other areas, it's longer.
and
Really?
in other areas it's shorter. So
that's
so
right.
that's the point.
Yeah.
The National Association of Realtors gave individual associations and boards the ability to kind of tweak it a little bit to the way they want to do it. Also, to go ahead and determine what the fines are in it. So that's why this is a bit of a slippery slope, because every MLS is a little different on it.
Yeah.
But you know, go ahead.
I feel like I have a solid answer to the question
Good.
that was asked. And I think, so one, it depends on the property and the market that we're in, right? Because it's all about the strategy that you're using to market a property. And generally speaking, in the time that I've been in real estate, I have not ever used all 2 of those weeks. And I have strategically, in most cases, used at least a few days to, it's usually like 3 actually, is what I've usually used. And it was part of my plan that I laid out really well to sellers of properties, right? And so that is definitely a conversation to have with your trusted advisor and know what their strategy is and how they're using that to best benefit you.
So it's interesting. I was just looking through a couple of them.
I
Some of
agree
them-
with Nikki. I think it helps you plan. Like so, as an agent, if I have out-of-town buyers and they are coming in, that it gives me an opportunity to say, hey, this is a weekend you need to come to Charlottesville to look at homes.
Yes.
Right? So if it's coming soon, I can say, hey, this checks a lot of your boxes.
She follows up by saying this. Just for the record, the 2-week coming soon period, if you use the full 2 weeks, all it does is it creates more stress and headaches for us sellers. We just went through this now, and that 2-week period just seemed like additional selling time and stress for our family.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a stressful time period, right? Whether there's 2 weeks of coming soon or not. So I do understand
the
that.
question is that a seller that's
Yeah,
speaking?
she sold, yeah.
Yeah. So when we do it, and
So
we
she
never,
probably had the full 2 weeks
so
with
when
that in there. Yeah.
when we
Yes.
do it, we
That's what that
never
sounds
use
like.
the 2 weeks.
Right.
We only
I
use a
never
couple
use
of
the 2
days,
weeks.
and the seller has no idea about the phone calls that we're getting.
Right.
So I'm curious on how that seller knew the phone calls that were coming in, because they come into the agent and they text the agent to set up the schedules. Now, what could be the stress is that as
Just
these
that the house is out there. That causes stress.
It
That your
can
house is
for
just
many
out there.
sellers, yes,
Yeah.
truly.
Yeah.
You are not incorrect about that.
Yeah, these things are very open ended, and each little association gets to do what it wants to do. The agents get to do what they want to do. But from a high level perspective, again, and Donna, correct me if I'm wrong. Simply put, agents are not supposed to be in the house until it goes active, and you can set up appointments.
Right.
As far as stress on the seller goes, I don't. We've never done 2 weeks. We've done a couple of days, mainly because we're waiting for more photos to come in. We just had enough photos to do it. There was a couple of things that have to be done on the house, a couple of condition stuff. We've been talking about this all day today, about condition, that we wanted to give the contractors another couple of days, but set a little bit of tickle out there, hey, we're coming on the market. 2 weeks is a long time. But it depends on the agent and the seller and what they agree to.
Right.
So, ladies and Keith, where do you think we're gonna?
Good, thank you for throwing Keith in
And
there.
Keith, where do you think we're gonna go? If from January 1 until now, Charlottesville and the car footprint have seen 6 to 9% appreciation.
Yeah.
I mean, today's the first day of spring. Now, granted, we've made comments before, maybe the spring market has already sprung, or maybe the spring market is a thing of the past because of iPhones and smartphones. People have access constantly to the inventory. Are we going to see another 6 to 9% of appreciation here in the next couple quarters, the next rest of the year? Where are we going to go? You want to start with that one, Amanda?
Should we break up the should we?
I mean, that's a crystal ball question.
I
gotta see into the future.
don't
Yeah.
have a crystal ball. And I'm seeing,
We do.
I'm seeing that, I don't know that it's going to be as sharp of an increase as what we saw last year, month over month type of thing. But we are seeing increases. I mean, it's, again, going back to a lot earlier in our conversation, there is still a big lack of inventory. So if the condition's right, the location's right, and it's going to sell, and you're going to see increases in value month after month.
Nikki Chambliss.
So I think it's one of those things where we use that 4% trend line, right, as a really good example. And currently we are above that, right? And not only just our area with our, hey, real estate is hyper local, but from a larger viewpoint, nationwide, United States and Canada, right? We are above that. And I think that we will eventually have an evening out of it that will not feel like a drop. I don't think I hope in my time in real estate we don't ever experience an '08 again. And who knows
Really?
what could happen in the world. I know, right? Yeah. No, didn't do it once. Don't want to do it. I'm just saying.
Oh,
I
great.
hear y'all talk about it, and it's like, oh, that's way worse than going uphill both ways in snow to school. That's like having been raised in the war, like, except in a nation where it was happening at your door. So I'm not going to wish that on any future of all of ours. But I do think that we're going to see that come back into play. And for years after '08, people were wondering, are we ever really going to see that 4%, right? So we're kind of on a reverse side of that conversation where it's like, ooh, or do we need a new 4%? Is 4% maybe 5 or 6? Who knows? But I do think that it will eventually balance out in a way that isn't some sort of a tank or decrease. And the reality is you're still having that long-term value. So as long as you are in real estate in whatever form, whether it's you're that property owner and this is your household and where you live and reside full time, or whether it's a stepping stone that will eventually be your first, second, third investment property, whether it's an investment property, if you're in this over the time period of, 10 years plus, then you're fine. You have a piece of property, an asset that can be an investment if you treat it as such, right? And that last part is key regardless of what stage in this conversation you're in.
Well said. Nikki Keith Smith.
I was actually going to want to take Amanda's take on that particular question, because I'm taking a look at some numbers, what sold in Charlottesville versus the same first quarter this year versus first quarter last year, just to see what the percentage jump is on that, trying to do that live. But what's your take on that question?
Like, what's the difference between the increase?
Yeah.
I don't know that I know. I mean, I do think that I don't think it's gonna be, well, I don't know. I really don't know. Because I always am surprised. I am in the MLS pretty frequently. My kids think I have an addiction to the MLS because I am constantly.
Everybody at this table has.
I am constantly in the MLS.
I'm on the MLS
And
right now.
there are
In the show, literally.
there are homes that come on the market, and I'm like, oh my God, like, what are these people thinking?
Well, to go back.
And then it's gone in a couple of days.
Well,
and then there are times where I'm like, I wonder why it's so low. So there's, I'm constantly amazed sometimes. So I think it's hard to say. I don't know what the
So we
stats
don't know
are.
what we don't know, right?
Right.
And
Yes.
But that being said, I'm going to kind of stick to my prediction that we're going to be somewhere by the end of the year to 3 to 6%. overall, right? Some areas are going to be a little higher, some
Right.
areas are going to be a little bit lower on that. Some of it may go backwards, right? Some of them we might have a negative if it's not in the right location, price, features, conditions, so forth and so on across things. But back to the question about the where and the outer areas, we just had a home in Greene County that was, depending on how you drive, the way Jerry drives, about 15 minutes. The way old guys drive, it's about 30 to 40 minutes on that end of it, depending on whose car you're in at the time. We had multiple offers north of that listing price in 24 hours.
Right.
So is that the edge of the rubber band now, or is now the rubber band further out?
I mean, you had a home in Greene. I mean, I
That.
want to say this again. A home in Greene County with a 5 in front of it that went under contract.
Low five.
But still, it had a 5 in front of it in Greene County. Multiple offer scenario.
Yeah.
Folks beating each other with a stick to try to buy this house. And you did it in a couple days. This is in Greene County.
Yeah.
So are we like,
I want to really just put that.
are we like more Ruckersville hub area of Greene
Yes.
County?
Yes.
Because I think that's the key. It's that whole location. And really, if you're talking like Ruckersville area, that's not really out there. Like that's like, I don't know, extended North Charlottesville.
So let's define
I've been
it.
here 23 years. I never thought I would. You've been here. You grew up here. You've been here
did.
longer than me. To say a home in Greene County with a 5 in front of it, multiple offer in a couple days, I didn't think there would be a time that I would say that.
Well, first of all, it's a stellar house. That's
It's a great house. It's beautiful.
It's
It's in Greene.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think
More importantly, talk about Lake Monticello, right? All of us know Lake Monticello, right?
4,300 homes in the Lake Monticello.
4,300 homes. There's 9, depending on how you slice it. I'm taking out the one that's a couple hundred days off because it's just something's not right there on that end of it. And the median sales price has got a big 3 in front of it, right?
my first sale ever in real estate was at Lake Monticello, and it
Was it what,
didn't-
like 140?
and it was 5 digits. It wasn't
Oh, it's
even-
5 digits. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's 5,000?
It was like $95,000, or no, actually, I think it was like $79,000.
It used to be where I would go to help somebody
And it was
get
a
into a house under
3-bedroom, 2
2.
bath.
Beautiful home.
But that's
It was
not the
2
case.
bath, brand new home.
Yeah. Yeah. Katie Pearl watching the program.
Hey,
KTP, we
Katie.
love when you
Hey,
watch the show.
hi.
She says, I think if there was more higher priced homes in Greene County, they would all go equally as fast. She said if there were more homes in the 5s or higher, they would all sell equally as fast.
In the right condition with the right features.
Woody Fincham,
Yeah.
frequency when doing trending will cause some periods to seem like they are changing faster than they really are. We, if things stay the status quo, will continue to appreciate, but the delta you guys are discussing is not sustainable. I think it's it's startling that what the reality will be, time will tell. He's saying this appreciation is not going to continue at this clip. Literally in 2023, the first quarter is not even over, and we've seen 6 to 9% appreciation. This is
Again, it depends
unsettling
on.
is the word I would use.
It depends on the where, guys. Right. So we need to be careful. Be careful with that. So hold on a second. I just want to go back to Lake Monticello. Just to talk about
back
this.
to Ruckersville.
The median. no. Well, the reason I like using Lake Monticello is because it's same kind of home, basically, right? Single family detached.
And there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them from a numbers perspective. It makes sense. But it just we've been there for a long
Yes.
time.
Yes.
But year to date, would you want to take a gander at what the median sales price is at Lake Monticello? Median kicks out my high and low. It's got a 3 in front of it.
I was gonna say like 330 something.
Look at you, 335.
Well
Yeah.
done.
Look at you.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
335.
I'm again when I started in real estate, like my very first sale was like $79,000.
What year was that?
1999.
1999.
Was out at Lake Monticello, and that I dealt a lot with like first time home buyers and that type of thing. So it was always like that was the option because it was so much more affordable, right?
So where is that now? Where is
Well,
that affordable? Where is
Buckingham?
where is that starter
Buckingham?
I don't.
Waynesboro?
You know, I've had this conversation a couple of times. Like there.
The villas at
So the
Southern
villas,
Ridge.
well, and that was, I think that so Hessian Hills condos really kicked off the condo conversion craze that happened right before the before the housing crisis.
Before
that
the
was
bubble.
and that was supposed to be, as I recall, it was supposed to be like a 3-year project, and it was 18 months
Because they sold out so quickly.
because they sold out so
And then
quickly.
it
So that,
went-
and then it went, and
was
then
it, was it Barrick West next?
and then 1800 JPA,
Okay.
and then
Walker Square.
and then you had Walker Square and the Villas at Southern Ridge and Barracks West. Villas at Southern Ridge, a lot of their, I mean, I think that would have sold at a much faster clip had
the
there not
market-
had it not been delayed because of the construction, because that was a renovation. They did some renovation in the beginning, and I was on the sales team of that, so I remember.
That's where I met her for the first time.
Yep. So if there had been delays in the construction part of that, that would have, I think, would have gone just as fast as
Hessian Hills.
Hessian Hills. But what happened is that condo financing went away.
Evaporated.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that, but I do think that there's something to be said for that type of a project here. To have some affordable housing is
So you gotta,
but it's
but the jurisdiction's got to let it happen.
right,
Right? You
Oh,
know,
for sure. I mean, I know
and-
that there's a whole lot of barriers to that, but I'm just saying, like, to me, that is something that could help answer some of that affordable housing type of thing, because the rents are so expensive.
So
There are apartment communities right now where the rents are
Oh, yeah.
are way high, and if it was converted to a condo, and they could have home ownership for it doesn't have to be. I think I had some buyers recently that I was with. Your first one doesn't have to be your forever one.
Oh yeah.
Well said.
Yes.
And you guys want to hear something crazy? Walker Square, 2-bedroom, 2-bath,
That was just-
1,100 square feet, $375,000 asking price. Hessian Hills has
How many-
no inventory in the market. Barracks West, no inventory in the market. And the Villas at Southern Bridge has a 3-bedroom, 2-bath at $235 ask, 4 days on the market. So there's your starter home in Charlottesville, Albemarle County.
And how many bedrooms was that? Because I was looking.
The
at this
Villa
one.
Southern Ridge is 3-bedroom. It's her
No,
sister's
Walker
home.
Square.
Square is 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,100 square feet.
Yeah, I was selling.
375.
I was-
This needs TLC.
I was selling them for under $200,000 4 or 5 years ago.
Walker Square's credit, and I'm not trying to knock the villas. Love the villas. Got a spot in the villas, but
It's a great
Walker Square is
location.
way walkable.
Yeah.
You get
for
anywhere
sure.
without. You don't even need a freaking car if you live in the city.
The walk score.
Or work in the city.
The walk score on that is 98.
Yeah, Walker Square is nice.
Yeah, it's
if I was
about
in my 20s again, I'd rather live there over the villas, just because I could walk downtown, midtown, all those restaurants and whatnot. But I'm not throwing shade at the
Yeah.
villas. Granted, the price point, we're talking at $140,000 delta for walking, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? $140,000 for walking.
Yes.
I'm
Well,
curious I can't remember what the condo fees difference between the two. They're probably comparable.
I would bet you Walker Square is a little higher. You guys would know more than I
would
do.
be, but we'd have to take a deep
Yeah.
dive into it. But this conversation reminds me of something. So on Wednesday, we're going to do our, what it takes to win. We're going to do more of this, but we're going to bring Woody in, a bunch of experts into it to talk about it, and actually going to have a home buyer actually sit with us on the end of it. Friday, we're actually not going to have any show because yours truly is co-chairing an event at Omni from the Regional Housing Partnership, where we're actually going to be talking about, we got the stakeholders at the table, or in there's a couple hundred of us, a couple hundred folks that we're going to be talking in front of, that we're going to be talking about this exact thing, how does policy help us achieve
Nice.
increasing inventory?
Guys, you got agents from Long and Foster, Nest, Town, and Real Estate 3 on the feed. You got Trace watching in Houston, Texas, who just said, my son and his fiance just bought a $325,000 starter home in a suburb of Houston. It's crazy here too, guys. We have an inventory shortage across the country, so it's not unique to Central Virginia. Thank you, Trace, for leaving that comment. Why don't you guys offer some closing perspective? Anything you want to cover? Shameless is ready to rock and roll, I can already tell.
Always. We've addressed
Cake,
this already.
Cake.
Anywhere. No, it doesn't
Cake.
have to be her band.
Oh,
Anything
no,
she
it
wants
won't
to
be.
do.
Oh, no.
Show is yours, my
Okay.
friend.
Well, so I think one of the things we were moving toward saying, and we'll probably continue to talk about, is that it's time to rethink how we define our first time home, right? Maybe that's a condo, maybe it's generational living, right? But we have to rethink that if you actually want to get in a home before you're in your, I don't know, mid-30s something. I'm not sure what that's looking like for everybody right now. I mean, I have the data, don't get me wrong. But the important part is rethink it. It doesn't have to be a forever home. Matter of fact, I would highly recommend it not be.
Yeah.
It's really great investment strategy,
Well,
which y'all know I'm a huge fan of.
I've been in this
Well
business.
said. I agree with that. The
I've
white
been-
picket fence with the backyard may not be a reality for the first
No.
time home anymore.
And honestly, a lot of people now don't want to take care of all that anyway. So how about let's let go of a vague concept that you feel like you have to impose upon yourself, and let's find out what you really, really want. Yo, tell me what you want. What you really, really want.
Was that an LL Cool J
Well, I think-
song right there?
Oh, it was actually probably a few
I
songs.
think you can drill
now
that down
put
to
that out
what you
there.
really need, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't
Maybe
have to
not.
even.
Sometimes you just want something because you want it. It's like, cool, that's fine.
Well, but what I'm saying is like it, if it's, a young couple, no kids, then they don't need 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths,
Yes.
right?
I mean, maybe.
So maybe reevaluating the need part of it.
Yes,
You know,
I
Maybe
see-
you're
totally
not
see
going
what
to be
you're saying.
happy. Maybe we just need to say this, and it's tough to say. Maybe you're not going to be really, really happy with the first home you buy, but you're realizing you're locking in a mortgage and you're building a housing savings account, and you have an
Yes.
opportunity to
Yes.
sacrifice for a little bit, and then you could potentially trade up or keep it as an investment.
I mean, it
Maybe
might
we
even be
can start saying
ugly.
that.
Right.
And it might even be ugly, but you know
Yeah.
what? It's a house and it's yours.
Right.
It's
Right.
your ugly baby.
You're not paying rent, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yes.
So the 6 buyers, millennial buyers I am helping this weekend, all are thinking exactly the same way. This
Good.
is not my
Good for
forever
them.
home. This is just getting
That's
my
good to
foot
hear.
in
It
the
is.
door. If my income changes, I'm going to hang on to it and rent it and move up the ladder. Every single one of them are having, and these are folks that are in their early 30s. Is kind of where they're at this point. Just had their first child, yada yada yada. Exactly that. So I'm really excited. To your point, Nikki, I'm waiting patiently to see the 2023 home buyers and sellers generational trend report, which is going to come out, I think, in April. It usually comes out every April, and we talk about it on the show. And I'm really interested on what that last 12 months data shows.
Yes.
So at least in 22, everybody wanted the house and the white picket fence, but maybe reality isn't there at the moment. But
So don't you know you have to either pay someone or pressure wash it and restain it, repaint? Like, there's some stuff that goes into that.
it's called condition.
Well, but I'm saying maybe
called
you
work.
don't. You say you want that, but do you really, truly?
Yeah, so
Maybe not.
I've been doing, and I'll just probably get into more trouble here today. There's no such thing as a forever house. There isn't. I've been doing this for 35 years.
Very good point.
I've built 600 houses for people that told me this was their forever house for retiring, and we're now selling their forever houses for them that we built 20, 25 years ago. So there's always the next step, whatever that is in your life, changes. And normally that's why people move, is because I'm too old to walk up a set of stairs. So now it's time to sell a house.
That's the show. You guys have made it a breeze. You want to add something?
Come on, we could do this all day.
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no,
go
ahead. It looked like
oh, no,
we were-
I didn't. I'm just excited to be here.
It was
love
great.
This. I
Yeah.
love it when we have this amazing engagement.
Today was
It goes
great.
so well,
Right?
And
It
I
was
don't think
very
I've been
fluid.
on a bad show.
Yeah, where you been?
Which is like, what's that?
Where you been?
Where
We
have I
missed
been?
you.
Oh, I stacked it at the end of this month because
Okay.
I was in Richmond last week.
You grinding?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Mark King, president of KW, dude is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Cool.
didn't even know.
Very nice. Very
I mean,
nice.
I knew, but now I really know.
Now she knows.
So
Nick,
it's next
shameless.
Monday you're with us, right?
Yes, I'll be
Cool.
back. Y'all get me in a week.
Do you have anybody
Ah.
bringing with you? Have we set that
So
yet?
I'm working on that still.
Okay.
I have someone that
You
I
know we
would
should bring
really
Amanda
love
back.
to be my guest.
You know we should bring Amanda
I
back.
know.
I'm putting
I
a
know.
plug in for Amanda
I got-
over here.
no,
I'm
I
putting a
gotta-
plug in
you
for
know.
Let me try
Amanda.
this again. You can always bring Amanda back.
Amanda's great. Bring Amanda.
I
She's
value your
fantastic.
input, and I
we
have
should
plans.
get Donna to. We should have Donna come. in,
Working
so-
on that too.
Yeah, because
Donna's great too.
that
Yeah.
would be a great second. With all due
Awesome.
respect,
Yeah.
would be a great fourth seat. Mainly
Nice.
because she just will not
Knows
pass up-
everything?
No, that's not it
No,
at all.
but she does, like, that's
no,
the
no,
thing.
No, that's not it at all. She
He's
will,
going to say, give Keith grief.
she will never pass an opportunity up to bust my chops.
She says,
Oh,
"Damn right, Keith."
yeah,
Damn right.
I actually really didn't see where that was
Love you,
going.
Donna.
Thanks.
Well, Donna's like family.
Yes.
My brothers and
Yes.
sisters and her children grew up
You know
together.
what? And she is like family, and she watches her agents' backs like family.
Yes.
Like that is her superpower.
Oh, let's not be too nice.
She's got no,
Let's
no,
go.
I won't. But like truly, you know what? Sometimes you just need to give praise when praise is due,
Yeah,
and that
without
is
doubt.
that's
We
gotta
are
be
lucky
said.
to have her.
We
Yep.
love you, Donna Patton. Judah Whitcower, the director, lucky to have him. Keith Smith, Nikki Chambliss, Amanda Spagoni. The show archived at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. And Donna says Keith actually loves it when I give him a hard time. She literally put that in the feed. Real Talk with Keith Smith.
When she stops doing it, then that's when I get nervous.
Oh, you should be.
The I Love Seville show, guys, is up in 50 minutes. Thank you kindly for joining us. Take care. Well done, friends. That was easy.
You asked me the other
You
day
guys are awesome.
Tell us
what
when the mic was off. That was a great show.
Yes.
what show it was today.
Yeah.